It's funny how people can misjudge the weight of their actions. My name's Jack, and I'm a guy who always tried to be kind and give my wife everything she wanted. It took me 2 marriages to learn that being too nice can lead to being walked all over. I've decided not to let that happen again. These entitled women think they can get away with things as long as they don't get caught. They hide their guilt until they're found out. Then they suddenly feel sorry and say they never wanted to hurt us. It's like they're admitting they did something wrong and are only upset because they got caught. That's a real slap in the face. I'm convinced these women just can't think straight. Sarah and I met after we both got out of bad relationships. She had spent 3 years with her boyfriend, Alex, who left her for a younger, prettier girl. Sarah was heartbroken and had low self-esteem because the man she loved dumped her. She never really got over Alex, and that always bothered me a bit. I'm Jack, and I'm 6 years older than Sarah. I was married for 5 years to a beautiful woman named Lisa, who made my world spin. I was deeply in love with her and thought we'd be together forever. However, she had affairs behind my back when I was completely devoted to her. It took me a year to find out about her cheating, and it hurt me deeply. I left her and swore I'd never let that happen again. Afterward, I realized trust would always be an issue for me in any new relationship. Sarah and I knew about each other's past baggage. I helped Sarah with her self-esteem issues as she worked hard to improve her body and appearance. She spent hours shopping for new clothes, getting her hair done, and playing tennis. With my support, she transformed into a confident, attractive woman. In return, Sarah helped me with my confidence issues. She always reassured me that I was her only love and how lucky she felt to have me. Every day she expressed her love for me and made sure all my needs were met. Our life was still vibrant. We were intimate at least 4 times a week. We kissed and cuddled on the couch, and our love for each other seemed strong. We even started talking about having kids. Life seemed perfect, or so I thought. A week after celebrating our 6th anniversary, my life took a shocking turn. I saw Sarah wearing a dress I hadn't seen before. She looked stunning, which was unusual for a typical weekday morning. Just to be clear, I wasn't spying on her, but we have a home video surveillance system that I sometimes check when I'm bored at work. I like watching our dog, Buddy, a little dachshund, to relieve stress. But that morning, when I saw the live video feed, I got curious. There she was, the love of my life, in a very short, alluring red dress and extremely high heels. Her hair was perfectly done, and her makeup was flawless. It had been years since I'd seen her look that attractive, and it made me feel uneasy. So, I decided to call her and ask about her plans. I dialed her number. "Hey babe, just thinking about you. How's your day going? Tennis today? Hey honey, I miss you. No tennis today because Jenna hurt her ankle. I'm just taking the day off." "Oh, that's too bad. So, what's on your agenda then?" "Not sure. Maybe I'll go to the gym. Want to meet for lunch?" "That's sweet, but not today. I'm feeling bloated and not hungry. I'll just have a protein shake at the gym. See you tonight. Love you." I didn't say my usual "I love you" when we hung up, and I'm sure she noticed, because I always say it. She lied to me, and I needed to know why. Even though I trusted Sarah after all these years, I had a GPS tracker in her car that I rarely used. I originally installed it for security, but now I was using it to spy on her. After hanging up, I left my office, got in my car, and activated the tracker. She was heading downtown, so I followed her. My office was close to downtown, and 15 minutes later, I caught up with her. I saw her entering a parking garage, parked on the street, and waited by the entrance. 5 minutes later, there she was, my lovely wife in high heels and a dress, heading towards a fancy restaurant. My stomach knotted as I hoped I wasn't being betrayed again. When I saw her waving to a man outside the restaurant, I knew I was in trouble. I moved closer, trying to stay out of sight, and saw him greet her with a kiss. They exchanged words, and he took her hand as they entered the restaurant. I quickly crossed the street and peeked through the window. They were standing in front of the hostess, their arms around each other. Sandy leaned on his shoulder, and tears welled up in my eyes. But soon anger took over. I wiped my eyes, took out my phone, and started taking pictures. As I snapped photos, he turned to Sandy and kissed her passionately, and she responded with equal passion. The pain in my heart and the rage in my mind pushed me down a dark road. Before the hostess showed them to their table, I realized the man was Alex, her ex-boyfriend. The guy who had broken her heart and caused her so much pain. She knew how much I disliked him and that I had told her never to speak to him again. She clearly didn't respect my wishes. My anger boiled when I realized that in just 1 hour, she had lied to me, dressed provocatively to meet her ex, kissed him passionately, and planned to spend the day with him. This kind of disrespect and humiliation was unacceptable. I couldn't take it anymore. The promise I made to myself after my last marriage stopped me from being patient and accepting such disrespect. It was over, and all that was left was to hear more lies and excuses from my soon-to-be ex-wife. Still seething with anger, I drove back to the office and finished the day at my desk, trying to understand how this could happen again. After wallowing in self-pity for 5 hours, I headed home, already planning my next move. I wondered if Sarah would come clean about her day or continue to deceive me, making my final decision easier. With great effort, I managed to control my anger and drove home to confront the end of my marriage. As I pulled into the driveway, tears welled up as I mourned the loss of the woman I once loved and respected. Sarah was setting the table for a delicious dinner, dressed nicely and acting affectionate when I walked into the kitchen. She gave me a warm kiss and told me how much she had missed me. It felt like typical behavior of a cheating spouse trying to alleviate their guilt. No matter how hard I tried to act normal, it was clear it wasn't working. She looked at me and asked, "Honey, are you okay? Did anything happen?" I poured myself a generous glass of whiskey, tried to smile, and said, "I'm fine. It's just been a busy day. Let me freshen up for dinner, and I'll be down in a bit." In the bedroom, I changed clothes and sat on the bed, sipping my drink to calm my nerves. After regaining some composure, I went back to the kitchen. My beautiful wife was in high spirits, with dinner laid out on the table. She seemed content with the day she spent with her ex-boyfriend. We sat together, and I initiated a conversation. "This is a lovely dinner, Sarah. You look stunning today." "Thank you, I love you, honey, and I love cooking for you," she replied with a satisfied smile. We sat in uncomfortable silence for a few minutes, eating. I noticed Sarah glancing at me, curious about what was bothering me. Did she feel guilty? Would she finally tell me the truth about her day? I was about to find out in the next few minutes. "So, tell me about your day and what you did," I asked, trying to keep my tone non-threatening. "Well, after you called, I went to the gym for a couple of hours, had a protein bar, and then came home to prepare dinner for you." "It was a pretty uneventful day," she said. Seeing my expression and the tears in my eyes, she quickly shifted her gaze down to her plate. In a hushed tone, I asked, "So, Sarah, how do you think we should handle this situation? Should we consult lawyers first or try counseling?" "What are you referring to, dear?" "I'm talking about divorce, obviously," I replied. "Quit playing dumb." "What are you talking about?" "I mean the end of our marriage. Divorce, separation, figuring out how to go through with it while still remaining friends. I don't get it. Why do you want a divorce?" "Seriously? I'll give you a few minutes to ponder that question before I respond." She appeared anxious, her hands fidgeting with her glass, avoiding eye contact. Several minutes passed in silence. "Were you following me today?" she asked. "No," I lied, even though I knew it didn't really matter. "Why are you asking if I followed you? Is there something I should know?" She looked bewildered, unable to find words. Typical cheater, denying everything. She insisted that nothing was going on, and that she didn't understand why I was bringing up divorce. "Why are you bringing up divorce?" she asked, wearing a sad expression. I stared into her eyes, hoping she'd be honest with me. After a long silence, I said, "Well, let me show you what's been bothering me, Sarah." I unlocked my phone and displayed a picture of her and Alex kissing when they met outside the restaurant. That photo could be interpreted as a friendly greeting, but I didn't want to reveal the other pictures until I heard more of her explanations. Her jaw dropped, and tears welled up in her eyes. She began offering excuses, of course. "Honey, I can explain, it was just a hello kiss, nothing else happened. How did you get this photo?" "So, how's Alex these days?" I asked. "Let me explain how I got this picture. I was crossing the street from a store when I thought I saw you walking hand in hand into a restaurant. I crossed the street and approached the window to see you with his arm around you. My first thought was, it couldn't be you, but I was wrong. It was you. My second thought was, why is she dressed so provocatively? She never dresses like that for me anymore. Then I realized you were with Alex and everything became clear. I started taking some pictures just as you leaned in and kissed him. That's how I got this picture." In the next picture, I showed her with her arms around his neck, her short dress riding up, revealing her backside. You looked incredibly attractive in that dress, and your hair and makeup were outstanding. Were you going to a modeling shoot, or maybe starting a new job? Can you explain why you dressed that way for him? She covered her face with her hands and cried while I continued to gaze at her, waiting for an explanation. When she stayed silent, I went on. My phone has an incredible camera with zoom capabilities. Look, let me show you, I said, moving closer to her. Left arm wrapped around Alex's neck, I zoomed in on her ring finger, which was now bare of wedding rings, and brought the image up to her face. No wedding rings today, that's strange. I can't remember you ever taking them off during all the time we've been together. Today must have been a special day. Now do you see why I'm discussing divorce? You lied to me about your day this morning, removed your wedding rings, dressed provocatively to meet your old flame, and lied again about your day just now. You're sitting here lying to my face, telling me you went to the gym today and had nothing for lunch. You put on that outfit for your ex-lover and spent the day with him while I worked to improve our lives. You broke your promise to never see him again. You kissed and flirted with another man in public. You treated me like a fool and just lied repeatedly. I don't know if you slept with him tonight or anything, but honestly, it doesn't even matter. No matter what you say, in my mind, it'll be a lie. But your actions have shown me that you can't keep your promises, and you're willing to lie to cover things up. You tried your best to look appealing for your ex-lover, worked with him, and abandoned our marriage by removing your rings. Then you lied to me over and over. It seems to me that's a valid reason for divorce, and I think you know it. Sarah was deeply shaken. She hadn't truly considered the consequences until now. The way I articulated it made her feel like she had been unfaithful, which had never crossed her mind before. Up until this moment, she had regarded it as harmless teasing and flirting, nothing serious. But for the first time since Alex had approached her, she realized that it had evolved into an emotional connection and could easily be seen as cheating on me, if not physically, at least emotionally. She continued to cry and realized that if the roles were reversed, she would react the same way. "What have I done?" she muttered to herself. Her heart ached, and she felt sick to her stomach due to the pain she had caused me. She had to get through to me and save our marriage. "Jack, you have to trust me. Nothing happened. We parted ways after dinner, but you have to believe me. Nothing happened." "It was just lunch," she said, sobbing and searching for a way out. "I understand now how it looks. And if the situation were reversed, I'd feel exactly the way you do now. I'm so sorry. Can you please try to forgive my foolishness? It's more than just foolishness since you did this with your ex-lover, the one person you vowed to avoid. Can you explain why you dressed like that for him without your wedding rings? Can you explain why you held hands and kissed him? Can you explain why you lied repeatedly to my face? Tell me, does our marriage mean nothing to you? And yes, if the roles were reversed, I'm sure you'd feel very differently." "Jack, honey, we can't let our marriage crumble over something like this. Nothing really happened. He was in town and invited me to lunch. I know I shouldn't have gone, and I'm aware of your jealousy, but we had a long history together. I thought one lunch after all these years wouldn't be a big deal. I guess I dressed up to show him what he missed when he left. I kind of wanted to tell him to his face what he lost and how happy I was without him. Remembering how he left me back then still hurt, and I wanted a bit of payback. Yes, I kissed him, but it wasn't a romantic kiss, more like two friends meeting or parting ways. You have to believe me. I want nothing to do with him. Please, baby, let's work this out. I'll do whatever you want." "Really? That doesn't mean anything. You'll do anything I ask?" Hearing that she had a chance to save the marriage, she smiled, eager to hear what she needed to do, and said, "Yes, of course. I'll do whatever you want me to do, baby." "All right, Sarah. I'll give you one chance and just one chance. I have one request. Let me see your cell phone." "Why?" She looked at me with a puzzled expression. "Well, Sarah, if it doesn't mean anything, then show me your cell phone. I want to see if there are any text messages between you two and what you've been saying to each other." "No, you don't need to see that," she said, her gaze falling to the floor. She understood that if I read those messages, it would cause me pain and reveal things she'd rather keep hidden. That's exactly what I had in mind. So, let's revisit my initial question. How should we handle this? Tears welled up in her eyes as she pleaded for forgiveness, promising never to repeat her actions. It dredged up painful memories of my first marriage. I couldn't believe I was reliving that nightmare. This time, I wasn't going to accept all the lies and let things continue. Wait. Please just wait, Jack. If I give you the phone, will you promise to give me another chance? You have to know that I love you, and I've never cheated on you before. I might have gotten caught up in a foolish online relationship, and yes, with my ex-lover. But I was acting foolishly, like a teenage girl. The flirting and compliments were flattering, and it boosted my ego. I know how childish that sounds. If I hand you the phone, can you promise to give me another chance? I can't do that, Sarah. But I promise you, if you don't give me the phone, our relationship is over. My next step will be to call Mark Wilson, the attorney I've already spoken to, and have him prepare the divorce papers this week. Can we work on this? I want to be as transparent and open as you are. My issue is that I never want to hurt anyone, and will avoid it if possible. Now I see that not being honest is actually worse. Well, honesty and transparency were the only things that could have salvaged this marriage. But you weren't forthright and candid until you had no other choice. The fact that you refused to let me read your text messages until you realized you had no alternative sealed your fate. Tears streamed down her face as she sat there, fully aware of how those messages exposed her dishonesty and lack of trust. She knew I wouldn't accept it, and eventually realized that her emotional relationship with another man was just as damaging as a physical affair. She vowed never to make such a mistake again. Sadly, our once happy marriage came to an end. We signed the divorce papers, and 3 months later, we were officially divorced. We sold the house, divided our assets, and parted as friends. No reconciliation, no vendettas or bitterness. All that remained were the smoldering ruins of a once happy marriage, destroyed by deceit, lies, and a loss of trust. I continued to date, but after being burned twice, marriage was not in my future. Sarah and Alex got together, and 2 months later, Sarah became pregnant. Alex abandoned Sarah as soon as he learned about the pregnancy, instructing her to handle it because he wasn't ready for children. The next day, Alex vanished, leaving Sarah holding the baby. According to her sister Julie, Sarah was a mere shadow of her former self. Her self-esteem had once again been shattered. Sarah remained in a perpetual state of depression, especially when she lost her baby due to a violent fall down a long flight of stairs in her apartment. Her life had gone from paradise to sheer hell, all because of her vanity and selfishness. She simply couldn't forgive herself for ruining our once happy marriage and losing my love and respect. Trust, loyalty, and respect. You violate one and you lose them all.